Welcome to Sparking Dark's Life Coaching, Session 3, Positive Thinking. There is a moment we all meet in the hush between a problem and our response, a sliver of time so small you could miss it like a coin glinting in the grass. In that sliver, a sentence begins to form, and the first few words decide the trajectory of everything that follows. Some people start the sentence with no, because, and the world tightens around them, possibilities evaporating like dew under a hard sun. Others start with yes, if, and the world widens, doors appearing where there were only walls, light tilting through the narrowest seam. The difference is not personality or fortune or fate. The difference is training the mind to choose addition over subtraction, to tilt towards solutions instead of circling problems like a hawk that never lands. Let us be clear about the arithmetic, because clarity is a kindness. Negativity implies subtraction, the quiet erosion of value from our days, confidence leaking through hairline cracks of doubt, time siphoned into worry, relationships reduced by the slow drip acid of suspicion. Left unchecked, subtraction compounds. What begins as a small deficit becomes a habit of mind, and the habit becomes a lens that dims even an honest sunrise. Positivity is addition, the deliberate placing of value into the account of our future, energy deposited as small acts, patience compounding through practice, courage accruing interest each time we choose to try. Addition also compounds. Hope becomes skill, skill becomes momentum, momentum becomes grace under pressure. We are not born to one ledger or the other. We choose, sentence by sentence, which ledger we write in. Most of us know how easy it is to refuse a gift. I do not just mean the wrapped kind. Advice is a gift. Feedback is a gift. A new perspective is a gift in unfamiliar paper. Yet how often do we push these offerings away because they do not match the picture in our minds? How often has someone held out a key and we waved it off because we were certain the door could not open? I can think of seasons in my own life when friends extended answers I insisted on not seeing. They offered introductions, strategies, even the shortcuts they had earned the hard way, and I brushed them aside because the gift did not look like the relief I wanted. Negativity trains us to interrogate what is offered until we talk ourselves out of receiving. Positivity trains us to ask, what could this add and how might I use it? The gift does not change, our arithmetic does. Years ago, I reached that hinge. I was working hard and I was respected, but I could feel a ceiling pressing against the top of my ambition. It was not that I despised my job. It was that I had gone as far as I could go without further preparation, and from where I stood, I could already see the end of the hallway. Friends and colleagues kept handing me the same gift. Go back to school, get the degree, give your future a wider doorway. I heard them, and then I heard the chorus of, no because. No because student loans would shackle me. No because time is a limited planet, and I was already living on its edge. No, because there was no guarantee a new credential would translate into a new life. No, because I enjoyed my friends and my evenings and the fragile balance I had patched together. I wore my no because like armor. It sounded mature. It sounded prudent. It kept me safely in place. Nothing changed until a colleague offered me a phrase so simple it was almost embarrassing. Yes, if, he said, as if pointing to an exit sign I had walked beneath for years without seeing. The beauty of yes, if is that it does not argue with our concerns. It negotiates them. It turns obstacles into conditions to be engineered. Yes, if I go back to school, I will qualify for better roles. Yes, if I finish, I will be more attractive to recruiters and more credible to leaders who need what I can bring. Yes, if I structure my weeks, I can protect the friendships that matter and still make progress. Yes, if I borrow wisely and live modestly, I can shoulder the cost without breaking my future. Yes, if did not erase the risks. It transformed them into a plan. The moment I spoke those words aloud, the hallway I thought I had reached the end of revealed a turn. I enrolled not as a superhero, but as a person who decided to replace excuses with experiments. I learned to study in the margins of the day, 10 minutes before breakfast, a half hour over lunch, an hour after the dishes were done. I built routines because motivation is a spark, and routines are the hearth that holds the fire. I treated each week like a portfolio: work, study, rest, relationships, and tried to add value to each quadrant. Focus, I learned, is a multiplier. Even modest effort, when aimed with care, creates surprising lift. The arithmetic began to shift. Grades rose not because I was a different person, but because I was a consistent one. I completed my bachelor's degree in organizational leadership with a 3.99 GPA, and the number itself mattered less than the character it represented: disciplined, curious, determined. Addition, once discovered, becomes a habit. The yes if carried me into graduate school, where I earned a master's degree in business, and then forward into the rigorous halls of quality management, where I pursued and obtained a Lean Six Sigma Master Black Belt, the highest certification in that discipline. I did not gather these as trophies to polish on a shelf. I gathered them as tools. Each widened the radius of problems I could solve. Each sharpened my view of waste I could convert into value, variation I could trace to its causes, systems I could tune until they sang. And because addition compounds, doors I had not even known to knock on began opening of their own accord. In less than 10 years after finishing my bachelor's degree, I stepped into the role of Chief Executive Officer at a great organization. The title was a milestone, yes, but the deeper victory was the person I had grown into along the way. I share this not to place myself on a pedestal, but to place a ladder in your hands. If you have been telling yourself that you are stuck, consider that stuck might be the name we give to the distance between no because and yes if. Positive thinking is not the denial of pain, it is the direction of power. You can carry grief and courage in the same palm. You can admit fear and still decide who drives the car. Negativity is a habit of scanning for danger and calling it reality. Positivity is the habit of scanning for value and building upon it until it becomes reality. Both require effort. Only one builds a future. So try this as an experiment in the wild classroom of your life. The next time a problem introduces itself, listen for the first sentence that forms in your mind. If it begins with "no because," do not shame yourself. Simply pause. Picture a subtraction sign, a small, neat dash that reduces whatever stands to its left. Now rotate it 90 degrees in your imagination. It becomes a plus sign. That literal turn is what reframing does. It does not delete the dash. It turns it into a crossbeam capable of bearing weight. Now speak again, but start with yes, if, and watch how your attention shifts from fear to design, from the reason something cannot happen to the conditions that would let it happen. Yes, if I ask for help. Yes, if I learn the next skill. Yes, if I protect an hour a day. That is not magical thinking. That is management of the self. The grown-up version of positive thinking rests on 3 legs. Attention asks, where is the value here, and how do I add to it? Language asks, what sentence will open the widest range of intelligent next steps? Action asks, what small, repeatable behavior would prove I have chosen addition? When a friend offers help and your instinct is to dismiss it, try receiving. When your mind invents reasons a change will hurt, meet it with a plan to reduce that hurt and move anyway. When discouragement arrives, and it will, treat it like weather, real, sometimes severe, but not sovereign over your decisions. Write 1 email, make 1 call, study 1 page, walk for 10 minutes. Momentum is confidence earned in motion. There will be people who call this naive, and they are right to resist shallow slogans. The world can be cruel, Some barriers cannot be leaped by mindset alone. I will not pretend otherwise. What I will insist upon is that cynicism does not lift a single stone. No, because has never hired a mentor. It has never opened a book, built a plan, apologized and repaired, strengthened a habit, or persisted long enough to watch a seed become shade. Yes, if does those things, it turns complaint into criteria. It transforms longing into logistics. It makes hope measurable. If positive thinking has a reputation for being soft, it is only because we have confused softness with steadiness. Steadiness is granite in motion. If you are carrying regret for chances you waved away, honor the lesson without granting it the steering wheel. Regret speaks the dialect of subtraction. Translate it. I should have started sooner, regret says. Yes, you can answer. If I start today, I will not have to say that again next year. I wasted time, regret says. Yes, you can answer. If I invest 30 minutes now, the story will bend a degree, and a degree over miles changes the destination. The hinge waits patiently. The coin still shines in the grass, ready to be picked up. Fear of failure is not a reason to stop. It is evidence that you care about the outcome. Of course you will fail. Failure is not the opposite of success. It is a unit of it, a mile marker on a long road. When I returned to school, I knew there would be nights when exhaustion felt like a heavy coat I could not pull off. I anticipated weeks when I would underperform, conversations I would need to repair, moments when I questioned my capacity. Expectation is not pessimism, it is preparation. The yes if included contingency. Yes, if I miss, I will learn why. Yes, if I stumble, I will rest and resume. Yes, if I get it wrong, I will apologize and make it right. That is not positivity as denial. That is positivity as discipline. There is a loneliness that can accompany choosing addition. You may feel at first like you are stepping away from a campfire where everyone tells familiar stories about why change is impossible. You may worry that your yes if sounds like judgment to people you love who are not ready to move. You can ease that fear by being a witness, not a prosecutor. Model the posture rather than preaching the principle. Celebrate small wins out loud. Thank people who help. Refuse to make cynicism your personality. The architecture of a hopeful life is built with quiet bricks, kept promises to yourself, routines that hold under stress, words chosen to open rather than close, courage practiced in modest ways until it scales to larger rooms. Think of your mind as a house you live in and are also renovating. The rooms already built are your habits, the routes your thoughts travel when you are tired or frightened. Negativity is walking the same worn hallway until the carpet frays and the walls know your shoulder by heart. Positivity is noticing a door you have never tried, opening it, and standing for a moment in a room full of tools and windows. You do not have to move in all at once. Bring a chair. Sit for 10 minutes a day in that room of better questions. Ask, what would make this possible? Who has done something like this before? What is the smallest proof I can create by sunset? Over time, that room becomes familiar. You hang pictures, you keep a light on. Eventually, you realize you no longer sleep in the hallway. Maybe, as you listen, you can name the problem pressing on your chest. Perhaps it is financial, relational, vocational, or spiritual. Perhaps you live with a limitation that asks you to negotiate your energy with a precision other people cannot see. Perhaps you are grieving someone or something that will not return. I will not dishonor your experience with the glitter of easy answers. I will only invite you to test the hinge. What is one sentence you could begin with yes if today? Yes if I call the counselor. Yes if I send the email asking for a meeting. Yes if I protect an hour for study. Yes if I forgive the debt I am holding against myself. You do not have to know every step to take the next true one. You only have to start the sentence differently, And because life is generous, once you step through this doorway, you will begin to notice people standing where you once stood, palms open, hesitating. Put the sentence in their hands. Offer them the yes if you now carry like a smooth stone you turn in your pocket when courage is needed. Tell them that positivity is not pretending the dark is not real. It is lighting a candle and going to look for the switch. Tell them that skepticism can be a useful guard dog, but it should not decide who comes through the front door. Tell them that the mind is not a fixed landscape but a workshop, and that the tools are within reach. Then walk with them a little while, long enough for their first sentence to change. In the end, the axiom proves itself because it is how reality behaves under attention. Positive people find solutions not because they ignore problems, but because they keep looking past them until an angle appears. Negative people find problems with solutions because they have trained their eyes to find the flaw, and what we train for, we become excellent at. You can train differently. Convert your vigilance from suspicion to possibility. Choose curiosity over cynicism. Speak sentences that build bridges where you once only measured gaps. Ask better questions, and then put your hands to work on the smallest answer within reach. The shape of your day will begin to change, and with it, the story you tell about who you are. Let this be the day you stop waiting for perfect conditions. Let this be the hour you choose addition. Let this be the minute you pick up the coin in the grass and slip it into your pocket as a talisman you can touch when fear rises. A life of yes if will not spare you from difficulty, but it will save you from despair. It will give you direction when the wind shifts, a compass when the map is smudged, and purpose when the path is long and the night is cold. And when you look back from some future hill and see the trail you have cut through the thicket, you will recognize the pattern of your steps, the arithmetic of addition, the discipline of small proofs, and the courage to begin every crucial sentence with a simple, decisive promise. Yes, if.